And he's loose again. Edwards off the running. Like the ball down to Edwards. They hand it off to Johnson. Boise State has won. Right now. And they take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Riley Williams. Goes to the free. Touchdown. Going for the corner. He's got it.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast. We are rocking and rolling with the season previews. We're in the Big 12, starting to round them off here before we move on to the ACC. So, keep an eye out for that. Obviously, Colorado, they're up. They've been the talk of the conference for a little. Trev's already rolling the old eyes, baby. This is going to be a good one. So, listen, 2024, we're going to head back. And how long has Deion been there now? Like what? This is third season?
Since 23, I think, was his first year.
This is year 3.
Yeah, year 3. Thank you. So, they were 4-8 first go around, and they did improve in 2024. They went to 9-4. You beat North Dakota State in a tight one. You lost to Nebraska, and then a couple wins against Baylor, UCF, Colorado State. Then you lose to K-State. Lose to Kansas at the end. The state of Kansas owns Colorado as of right now. So let's see. Can you guys turn it around and get some movement? Let's look at 2025, guys, moving forward. It's coaching staff, Trev, portal, all that good stuff.
Right.
It's time to talk Colorado.
Okay. So I guess Deion is trying to do some sort of NFL pipeline at Colorado, it looks like, because it's like NFL people everywhere. So he added Mike Zimmer, former NFL coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joining as an analyst, window dressing. Marshall Faulk, Pro Football Hall of Famer and former NFL running back, may recognize that name. He's hired as the running backs coach, window dressing. Damata Pecco, NFL defensive lineman, joining as defensive line coach. He might know what he's talking about. I kind of like Pecco.
Well, at least you like that one.
I kind of like that pick. Andre Garode, a former offensive lineman and Colorado Star, hired as assistant offensive line coach, window dressing. And last but certainly not least, Byron Leftwich, former NFL offensive coordinator, hired as, and I quote from this, hired as potential quarterbacks coach. I don't even know what that means.
Window dressing.
Window dressing. Exactly right.
They're bringing in the guys, man.
So as far as I'm concerned,
I think you turned your mic off.
You muted your mic off in anger, buddy.
I muted myself because I was going to say some bad words. I muted myself, guys.
You know what?
Good
Colorado
Lord.
fans are going to love seeing that because they're going to be like, shut the fuck up, Trevor. You don't know what you're talking about, man.
And then the season will happen and they will go 5-5 or whatever the fuck.
The thing is there is no such thing as a Colorado fan. They don't exist.
It's for fair weather fans.
Yes, that's
popularity is the thing in Colorado.
Right. This coaching staff to me is like a Backstreet Boy reunion. They were good in the 90s, but you put them on stage now and they're just fat.
You can hear their knees cracking.
They can't sing. It's like that. That's what it is to me. And I'm saying that out of pure hatred for this program, but I am going to be fair in my analysis about it.
We are always fair. Okay. We keep it fair.
And don't forget that they do have Pat Shurmur as still the offensive coordinator, and they still have Warren Sapp somewhere along the lines, rah Shishkun Bobbin over there and doing whatever he does. I don't even know.
So look, I like the Marshall Faulk pickup. I think that's solid. Yeah, and you're trying to get guys. Obviously, we know what Deion and them have been trying to do. Is just hey, portal hard. You try to bring in recruits a lot of the heavy name. Hey, we've been in the league. We know all this type of stuff. So like, okay, it's there's a method here, that they're doing, but it's so far, it's still just not okay. Look, yeah, you got 9 wins last year, but the way Dion talks, it's like you guys better be in the damn playoffs. So we'll see what the coaching staff actually does for this team. And we talked about coaching. A couple of numbers real quick. Portal class was the 19th. We're going to move into portal, and obviously good number on that, good class. We'll look at that here shortly. Returning production, you're at 52%. About mid and not bad considering the turnover we've seen at Colorado over the last couple. S&P plus, so they're 52nd in the country according to Bill Conley's numbers, and that's all advanced stats. Doesn't matter for anything, but it's just something to gauge how tough might this team actually be. So let's look at the portal guys. 32 in, 33 out. Still big portal classes. A lot of turnover compared to some of the other teams that we've done previews on. Too many to count, to be honest. For keys in and out, but Jaheim Oates was one guy. Caden Salter is one that I like a lot. I'm curious to see if he can get back to his old self. Sincere Brown's another one, and then Colton Hood's that's a tough loss. Hill Green is a tough loss as well at the linebacker position, and Benson's another guy that I wrote down as key losses. Yeah. Guys, anything stand out to you on the portal side? That can
portal
team.
Portal side, actually, if I'm being honest, it's the defensive side of the ball that stands out to me a little bit more. They did a lot with linebackers, cornerbacks, D linemen, and safeties, obviously. But the one that I wanted to ask Blake's opinion on is Jaheim Oates, and if he's familiar with him.
Oh yeah, he was a beast. The problem was he was very heavy. He came to Bama. I want to say he was 400 plus when he came down. And now he did lose. I want to say he lost about 60 or 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was a force up front, but he became a situational player. And the type of guy he is, he's not a 3-down nose guard. He does plug the middle very well, and he is very good at getting off the block, but he's very slow. I don't know how much more weight he's lost, but
it has him listed at 6'5", 320.
Okay, so he's still about the same. Looking at his picture, I think he just went to Colorado to smoke weed. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong, but he did. There was production at Bama from him, and I was gonna say I put 2 key transfers down for them, and it was him. I think he can come in and make an immediate impact up front, especially in the middle there. And then I like Noah King out of Kansas State. I think that's a good pickup for the secondary.
Yeah, I thought the Noah King one was good too. 6'2", 200-pounder.
It's a good size.
It really, I mean, they've got a pretty good class here across the board. Mm-hmm. Offensive linemen, safeties, receivers. Hakeem Williams from coming over from Florida State. He's one that hasn't really done much with what ranking that he was. So maybe he can get revived here at Colorado. Other cornerbacks, linebackers. It's an interesting class, and again, it's just how do they gel?
Yeah,
we say it every year with Colorado. How well are they going to gel?
So to that statement, Brendan, what do you think the odds are that Caden Salter is not starting in the fall? Because they have a top tier Julian Lewis, sitting there, top 10 quarterback in the nation. If he shows out in this offseason, and beats out Caden Salter, which if Caden Salter is acting the way he was, like he played last season, it won't be very hard for Julian Lewis as long as he picks up the offense to beat him out.
Agreed, and so it's tough. Let's just go ahead and talk offense. We'll push out of the portal side, but just you mentioned a highly rated guy. Well, so is this Hakeem Williams, wide receiver at Florida State, 5-star wide receiver. Hadn't done shit. Now, obviously, last year was rough for Florida State, And maybe that impacts that a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry,
also to say that wide receiver, but they also brought in 2 4-star top 50 wide receivers.
Yeah.
With Adrian Wilson and Quinal Farrakhan Jr.
Yeah.
So I mean, they brought in a ton of wide receivers through the recruiting side of things.
Yeah, I mean they've got weapons, and it's just how do they step up? And obviously you're coming off of Shedeur Sanders leaving and Travis Hunter leading. That's a ton of production.
Don't forget about Shiloh. We can't forget about Shiloh.
Fair, he's gone.
He got the better deal in the draft.
He did. He didn't. Yeah. So no, when it comes down to Salter, and I feel like you're going to ride him early, and I'm the same way. I think so too. There's teams that can start a young quarterback and because they have to, but to me, it's the same when I feel about Michigan with Bryce Underwood. You have a veteran on the roster, and to me, you run that until you don't need to anymore. It's hard to start a young guy, throw him into the fire, and expect him to go win you 10, 11 games. Now, if you work him into the season until he's ready, and get him more comfortable and up to speed with the how much different it is from high school ball. Okay, then we can have that conversation. Same thing happened, with JJ McCarthy and Cade McNamara. You start Cade, he won you a Big Ten title. You start pushing through the season. Well, JJ progressively started getting more reps because he's like, okay, he's obviously more talented, and that might happen here. But Salter, when what was it, 2023 year, I think at Liberty was really good, and then last year it took that step back. He just said it didn't feel right there. Like there was things going on that he didn't feel right about. So can he shake that shit and be the self that he was in Colorado? And if he is, he's going to be the starter, and that'll elevate that Colorado offense.
Yeah. Another thing that'll really elevate the offense is having Lil Wayne on the sidelines. There's nothing that gets me motivated to play football than having the Carter walking the whites, baby.
Love to hear it, man. Hey, listen, it's like removing the chrome off of a car. It gives you like +5 horsepower. That one gives you +1 win when you bring over wrappers and everything else.
Yes.
But outside of that, Sincere Brown's a weapon for guys coming in. We're talking about offensive side here. Dallin Hayden, he seems to be the number one guy. Taylor's coming in from the portal. He's coming over. Was that Incarnate Word, I believe? So we've seen a guy from Incarnate Word do some pretty impressive things here. Miami's claiming him, but we don't buy that shit. So either way, running back game I think is going to be fine. It's just offensive line. How do these new portal guys fit in? How do they mesh? Do they get the run game actually going? I'd expect a lot of rotation. Across the middle or really the right side of the line. You got Seaton already locking that left tackle position down. He's a pretty good player there. So rotation out wide, rotation on the line until they really get it settled in. That's really all I'm seeing on the offensive side. Just, kind of some questions, but they have talent. It's not like they don't. It's just how
they've had talent. They just don't utilize it. And I was telling Trevor before the show, I think with his kids being gone, with Travis Hunter being gone, it's really going to open up the playbook and the team. Clearly he wants to run the ball, or he wouldn't have brought Marshall Faulk in. I know it is window dressing. I do agree with that statement, but they was 65 yards per game last year rushing. That's bad.
Well, to that point though, if you really wanted to really improve the running, why don't we improve the offensive line?
100%.
Just a thought.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean they brought in guys on across from the interior. Zarin McGill from Louisiana Tech, Xylon Chrysler from Illinois, which is a solid one in my opinion.
Yeah, but it comes down to coaching now. Right. The coaching is lackluster on the offensive line to not create those gaps and to coach these guys up enough. They're talented enough.
They have had an all-star roster. I mean, just my opinion. as far as talent goes since he's been there.
Yeah.
But like it's like we've said time and time again, it's just a number if you don't gel. You can have the best transfer class, whatever, but it's returning production, but it's not always good production. So
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with Dion. I feel like he's always going to get the big names in there just because of who he is. I mean, especially in today's world, you can entice kids. It's like throwing candy from a minivan. If you're saying, come up here and you get to meet Lil Wayne on the sideline, it's just one of those things. He's going to be able to get him there, but he has not really showed the ability to develop players yet, in my opinion.
Nope.
Travis Hunter was a freak. I mean, you could have put him in any position on the field and he would have produced well for you.
Yeah.
His son, when you throw 312 passes a game, you're going to get completions. It's just the style of offense he ran. It created production for Shedeur, Travis Hunter. But you take those two away, what did they have? And we don't know. And it's year 3. So we're about to find out how good of a coach he actually is.
I agree. And maybe he blossoms. I don't know. We'll see. It might be a blessing in disguise. Yeah. We talked about that and it's not exactly the same thing, obviously, but with Utah getting out from under Cam Rising, maybe it's the same type of situation here. What changes?
Well, I can honestly say that I don't think Caden Salter will be as selfish as Shedeur Sanders was.
Yeah.
But the thing with him is he may just not be good.
He just might not be good, period.
If he's what happened in 24, it might be rough, and then you let the young man roll. Julian Lewis. All right, let's talk defense side, because again, Portal looking at it, they've got some nice pieces coming in on the defensive side here.
They really do. I like their defensive pickups.
Yeah, and honestly, last season I'd say their defense improved from where they were in 23. I think the defense stepped up. So really, you take what you had last year but you're replacing 7 starters. So it's like guys like Arden Walker stepping up on the edge. Otis, we talked about him coming in, on the portal side. How does he step in? How big of a factor is he going to be? Can he be a third down guy? Like maybe he wasn't, before, like Blake was mentioning. He's our Bama guy. And then looking at linebackers, they've got solid players in the middle. I think Martavis French is one. Defensive back, of course, you lose Travis Hunter and those reps there, but we've talked about it before. I think defensive back is one that you can kind of replace pretty decently. In the portal, they got safeties, Taufik Baird coming over from USF. A couple, cornerbacks looking at it. Davis coming over from Wyoming. I think there's enough bodies there. Parks even coming over, from the FCS side. I think there's people that will make the defensive side work just fine. What do you guys see defensively? They gonna be all right?
It's coaching. It comes down to coaching. I think the talent will get them far enough with some of the lower tier offenses, but it'll go down to coaching scheme and putting them defense and making sure that you're actually doing sustained drives and running the ball and giving your defense a break. Yeah. Because there are a lot of high-flying offenses in the Big 12, more so than I think in any other conference, in my opinion, because it's about just about every team has some sort of spread offense scheme going on outside of maybe Utah.
I'll say the Big 12, I think, has some of the best quarterbacks this year that I've seen. Whether it's Morton, Rocco Beck. I'm
going to reserve my statement on that until I see week 1.
That's fair. I look at some of these guys. I'm like, I like what they got.
The potential for Big 12 to have the best quarterbacks across the board. Yes, I agree with that. But I also think that if some of these freshmen start playing, and they might ball out like some of these freshmen.
I don't think there's a lot of defensive. I don't think there's a lot of defensive challenge in the Big 12 as compared to like the Big 10, SEC, even the ACC. So I think statistically they'll probably have better quarterbacks, but I think it's
until they get in the playoff and have to play some SEC and Big 10 teams.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't know.
But defensively, I think they're going to be just fine, honestly. They wasn't terrible last year
weren't.
defensively. And to me, they've just added. I mean, they lost Travis Hunter, but they've got some good names coming in from the portal in the secondary, and on the front, adding Jaheim Otis, I think, is huge because he's a giant. He is a mountain of a man. He is a walking refrigerator, they say. But they say he tried to eat an actual person. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, but that was the rumor on campus.
Wouldn't shock me.
Tried to eat a person. Would not shock me. He looked hungry. But, yeah, I really do. I think their defense is going to be just fine. I hope it's not. I hope they get beat every game, honestly. I'd like to see them lose every game. But, yeah, we can get into their certified check mark, blue check mark. I'll pay $8 for that. Over under.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
So going back, I'm pulling up my notes here. Over and under 6.5. 6.5. So let's go ahead and look at the schedule. And I'll say one other guy I like bringing in was Tavian Coleman from Texas State on the D line too.
Yes.
So you plug that middle. Okay, maybe you get some run stops. Let's look at the schedule, guys. To me, the opening game is very tough. I like
0-2, 0-3 first 3 games guaranteed.
That's
calling it.
God dang. Hey, like
they're gonna lose to Delaware. Looking ahead at Houston.
Delaware's trying to bring in that Michigan
I'm
energy.
trolling Colorado, guys. Chill out, relax.
The pitchforks are going up.
I'm just giving you a hard time. You won't go 0-3. You will go 0-2 though.
God bless. So look, you got Georgia Tech to start, Delaware, Houston, and then Wyoming. They're usually a tough group of 5 school to play. They've had some changes going on, but and then the BYU one again. We talk about every time we talk about the schedule. We don't know what the hell's happening. I assume Retzlaff's gone. That's my assumption. We're going to talk about them the next episode. But either way, what do you guys see on the schedule? Can they get that over? And last year they had 9. They want 10. Their fan base that I see on Twitter all the time, they believe they can get to the 10th win.
Well, here's what I'll say they have working for them really right now. They don't play Kansas. They don't play Kansas State. And they don't play Oklahoma State.
Or Baylor.
They do play Kansas State, don't they?
No, I'm looking at the schedule. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't scroll all the way down.
You did that twice.
They're forgettable, he says.
They're forgettable, guys. I can't. I was just looking at it. I thought Arizona State was their last game. I mean, it might as well be. But
scroll down. So Trevor is notorious for hating Kansas State.
And I really, truly, it's because I have a friend that happens to be a Kansas State. We all have a friend that's a Kansas State fan, and I love doing this on the show because he loses his mind.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
So Kansas State is forgettable at the end there, but yeah, they do play them, but they do miss Baylor. They do miss Kansas. What else you guys seeing, Blake?
I think the schedule is working. It trends in their favor drastically.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at a 5, maybe 6-0 team coming into October. Houston, I would say, is going to be a tough one just because I do think they're going to be tricky. Georgia Tech, you got them at home on a Friday night. It's hard to say
that game, and I'm going to purchase. You know what? I'm just going to purchase something for each one of these teams off of their team store and wear it each game for the.
God dang.
But
hey,
I ain't made of money. Who am I pretending to be right now?
Houston for me again. It's all on Wigman. How he turns. If he's good, okay, then you're going to have a problem. If not,
I still think he's a good quarterback. But
yeah, it's just. Can he limp off? Is he going to limp off the field, or is he going?
Right.
To me, it's the Georgia Tech one. That week 1 game is going to be tough. Haynes King he's a great quarterback.
He's a gamer.
It's just like Baylor. That week 1 game is going to set the tone.
Yeah.
And we'll find out if they're for real or not. If they beat Georgia Tech, I think they're going into October undefeated when they play on the road at TCU.
Yeah, I could see that.
From there, it gets rough. And that's when you're going to find out about Deion Sanders. Is he the guy? And because you've got Iowa State, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, Arizona State, Kansas State. That's arguably the middle to top tier of the Big 12, back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
And if they're good, then they got to handle business. And with all these defensive changes, I mean, I think they've got a chance. It's just quarterback play is going to be key for Colorado this year. And, it's a whole new thing for Deion not having his boy. And I don't know. It's hard to say with so many question marks.
Yeah. And it's the same. It's hard to say across the Big 12. It just really is. I think this is a very deep conference. High flying offenses. I think some are set with solid defenses like Utah. Some have really tried to have improved, based on the portal. So the talent's really spread out, and we'll see what happens when it shakes down. But yeah, that week 1 game is huge. And then coming off the bye week in October at Utah, because it just, by that point, we'll see really how all these teams are. We'll know the identities by that week,
right,
and see where they're going.
Yeah,
so we'll see. Everybody, you guys taking the overs on this one?
I'm taking under. I'm under on this one. I'm thinking 5 wins.
I mean, in reality, it's going to go one of 2 ways. They come out, say they lose to Georgia Tech, and they don't live up to the hype of the guys they got coming in. We'll just say hypothetical. If you go by that, they win Delaware. Houston is a toss-up. Let's say they get that one. They get Wyoming. Give them BYU, okay?
Yeah.
Say TCU pans out. TCU beats them. Iowa State pans out. Beats them. Utah, they're good. They got a quarterback now. Beats them. Arizona, give them that game. Arizona State, West Virginia, they lose those. Kansas State, they lose that. That's 5 wins.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot for a team that I think it's not going to have a lot of mesh. This is a whole new team coming in. They don't
even have the continuity at quarterback position anymore like they did before.
Right.
So,
I think it is a big ask, but on the flip side, they come out, say they do gel well together, and say they get great quarterback play.
Right.
I can see them beating Georgia Tech, Houston, TCU. If that's the case, the 3 biggest question marks for me would be Utah, West Virginia, and Arizona State. And then you're looking at a 3-loss team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could have a 9-win team. You could have a 5-win team. My gut tells me they're going to be solid. Because I do think losing Shadur is a blessing in disguise. I think it's going to force him to run the ball. Notice how they leave, and he immediately goes after a running back coach.
Yeah.
So that tells me they're poised to run the football, and that's how you win games. So,
right.
So
I'm taking that over.
Taking over. Trev, you said you're going under?
And I hope Trevor's right, for the record.
Hey, listen. We keep it real, but we're not going to pretend.
I cannot wait for us to do our picks. I cannot wait.
It's coming. Hey,
Almost.
So yeah, I think I'm going to go right at that 7 win mark. BYU, Wyoming, Houston. I think they'll sneak by Delaware. I think they do lose to Georgia Tech week 1. I think you probably beat Iowa State, depending. How the rest of the team, fills out. They still have Rocco Becht, which is a really good quarterback. Utah, I think it's right there. But the floor, I agree, it's like a 5-win floor, and it's pretty wide. Five wins is floor, maybe 10 wins is an absolute ceiling if things go perfect. So that some people argue about that. Oh, well, floor is like what you expect them to win. No, to me, the expectation is the floor is what happens if shit goes completely south. To me, it's probably the 5-win mark for Colorado, but we shall see. Colorado fans, let us know what you think. Let us know what you see out of this team. Obviously, we got some pessimism on this side, but also, we're just trying to keep it real here, what we're seeing. Let us know, obviously, from the inside looking out, how you feel on it. Gents, let's wrap her up and shut her down. Anybody else got anything?
Nope, I'm good.
No last hits or assaults on this fan base.
What
I'm
fan
sure they
base?
fucking hate us right now.
All I
But,
can say is stop being a fair weather fan and root for a real team.
oh,
Yep.
damn.
Root for Colorado State. They're a
There
real
you go.
school.
That's a team.
Hey, look for them in the
Ooh.
group of 5
Yeah,
this
there you
year.
go.
Yeah.
Salty bastards. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Y'all take care. Good night.
Peace.
Have a good night.